Oh, since you've been gone, Kelly Clarkson there. It's 8:38. We're here. We're not gone. Neither is Phillip Statler, and that's why we check your finances every morning, because he is here at the offices of Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. Let's see what the Sam Hill's going on Wall Street today. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Hey, doing well today. I hope you are too. I was hoping that yesterday would have ended up a little better than it did, and I was hoping the futures were going to start off today better than what they are.
Yeah, we ended up with a down day yesterday. Dow was down by 98 points, NASDAQ by 32. Standard & Poor's was down by 7.5, which really wasn't a terribly bad day, but it was red ink. And then dag-nabbit, all about 4 o'clock, the markets closed, and everybody said, well, it's obvious the government isn't going to do diddly squat for us on a recovery and stimulus program. And everybody started selling futures like chiclets. We lost about 120 points inside of a couple of hours after the closing, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And so, yeah, when I went to bed last night, I looked and said, oh, my goodness, this is not going to be good. I woke up this morning to some green ink, but it's all dissipated now.
Yeah, it's one of those days in which, we really need some good news, and it's going to have to probably come off of the employment and the earnings, because I doubt that Congress is going to do much today, because now the sudden change is going to be focused on the debate tonight and the Judiciary Committee vote on Amy Coney Barrett. So we're not going to hear anything about stimulus talk today, because it's all going to be politics over the Supreme Court. Talking about jobless claims, our usual Thursday number, we do start out with some good news there. 860,000 was the expectation on first-time jobless claims from what I had. The report was 787,000. Now, that's not down into normal stuff, but it sure is nice to see it beat the street, isn't it?
It is good to see it beat the street. And let's look backwards now to when all this stuff started. So they say that the 787,000 new jobless claims is the lowest we've seen since March. So, the March, if you really kind of figure, that's when the whole COVID-19 thing really started here in the United States in terms of being listed as a pandemic. So, so it's nice to know that at least we seem to be buoying back from where we started.
Absolutely. Yeah, the poop really hit the fan back in March as far as our unemployment numbers are concerned. I didn't realize it had been that long, but yeah, that's kind of earth-shaking. Continuing claims were also a pleasant surprise. Market expected, at least my ticker was saying, 9.5 million continuing claims. We ended up with 8.37 million continuing claims. Once again, pleasant surprise, saying the recovery's going. And I was honestly shocked, because I was kind of waiting with bated breath for all those airline layoffs to start showing up.
Yeah, and I don't think they've started yet. I think that what I've seen is that they're working on some packages to try to get people to continue to retire early retirement. I haven't seen anything yet that says that we are laying off. I hear the precursor, we're going to lay off. This is how many people we're going to lay off, but I haven't seen the actual, here's what we did.
Yeah, I know some of the layoffs have taken place just from the postings that I've seen. Flight attendants saying, this is my last flight with United, Delta, American, whatever. So I know some of the layoffs have taken place, but it so far hasn't been reflected in the macro picture of the country as a whole anyway. And I got to consider that good news at the very least.
Yeah, at this point, you're right. And so it's a battle right now to figure out, is our economy going to bounce back enough to continue to support jobs? And, I think here in Florida, we are fortunate that more of our state is opened back up. Now, some people disagree that, hey, we should not have opened up the way we have. But from an economic standpoint, it has benefited us here in Florida, as opposed to friends I have that live in New Jersey, even Vermont, Pennsylvania. Those places are still feeling a lot of the effect of closures.
Yeah, and my kinfolk up in Wisconsin are now feeling reclosures coming back, because that's the current hotspot area up there. This sucker is not done yet by any measure. And yeah, there's a lot of room for argument on the public health front as to whether or not we made the decision correctly here in Florida or not. So far, we're going up by a little bit, but we haven't shown a major spike yet. Cross our fingers it doesn't happen, but from an economic standpoint, there's no doubt whatsoever it was a beneficial impact.
You're right. Now, let's continue that conversation just a little bit, Dave. We're on COVID-19 as it relates to employment, but I found this headline and this article quite interesting, that we may have to learn to live with this pandemic. There is some doctors that are saying basically that this pandemic is going to become an endemic, meaning that it's going to be with us for the foreseeable future, and we're going to have to learn to live with it. That even with a vaccine, it may not prevent the COVID from something that we have to deal with.
Well, we've seen the news items that indicate that the vaccine and the immunity from the bug doesn't seem at this point in time to necessarily be permanent. So, yeah, endemic might end up becoming the operable term, and that's kind of a scary thought on its face, isn't it?
Yeah, and you just said that. It reminded me, I saw a headline this morning on the news that, was it in Brazil or somewhere, a vaccine trial person, 20 years old, died. And they don't know if he was on the placebo or if he was actually on the vaccine. So it's going to be interesting to see. And that could have affected the markets in the futures too, Dave.
Yeah, it could very well have. And they don't even know for sure whether or not he died from something related to the bug itself. But wisely put, they ended up putting a hold on everything for a little while till they can investigate and find out for sure, which is why we do the trials, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Talking about earnings season, because we're really getting into the meat of it, I saw a Barron's article come across my news ticker today saying that the profits from the Dow and the fact that they're generally beating the street indicates that the recovery is continuing, and that's good news for all stocks. And based upon what we were talking about before we went on the air this morning, Phillip, we're kind of keeping a rosy picture up as earnings season continues, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are. We're seeing a lot of beats on estimates of analysts. But let me just throw a little cold water on there, because I get reminded when I dig deeper into some of these reports that a lot of these companies are still down when we look at year over year.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though they're beating the street, and that's good for the stock market, that from an economic standpoint, if we look at sales and revenue year over year, we're still seeing a little bit of a diminish there.
Yeah, there's still a few percentage points down from gross sales from last year, and most of the companies I've seen come across my ticker.
Yeah. So let's kick off some earnings today with one of the well-known names, Tesla.
Ooh.
Because guess what? Tesla has put together 5 quarters in a row of profitability. So that's kind of a good thing for Tesla. And they feel like they're on target to hit their goal of 500,000 vehicles delivered this year. And so they're on track. They beat by about 20 cents a share on earnings per share. And they're up a little over 4.5% this morning before the market opens up.
Cool. Premium priced vehicle, obviously adventurous technology. And as you always said, keep in mind, not only are they a car company, but they're also a big battery manufacturer and technology company from that standpoint. So even if you think Elon Musk is a flake, you kind of cheer for the technology advances they're making.
Yep, absolutely. And so now we've got a lot of household names today, Dave. I mean, we got Coca-Cola beat by 9 cents a share. Revenue topped the forecast, obviously down from last year still. They're getting a nice little bump this morning, up about 2.3%. We've got the Dow Chemical. They came in and had a decent quarter. They beat by over 15 cents a share. Revenue beat, and they're doing good. They're up this morning 1.5%. So I'm looking at all these ups and ups and ups, and I'm thinking, okay, why isn't the index moving up too? We had Pulte Group, the home builder. They beat by 22 cents a share. Revenue was above forecast, obviously because of low mortgage rates. That's helped the demand for homes. I would, I like to throw cold water every now and then, Dave. And so one of the cold water things I know about construction in general, because I have a couple clients that are really big in construction, especially over on the East Coast, that lumber is becoming in short supply, and that they're
Really?
concerned. Yep, they're concerned because of the forest fires, a lot of the rain, because of COVID. They
Ah,
didn't get timber cut
I
this year.
hadn't even thought about that, but the Western
Um,
fires are probably really screwing up the flow into the lumber industry. I never even thought about that, but you're right.
Well, that and they said COVID. COVID is really taking a hit because
Sure.
they're not out working it, and so they are really concerned that there will be a shortage. Lumber costs has already skyrocketed, but there may actually be a shortage where you can't get it,
Back
and so
good backhanded good news for climates like ours where block and stucco is a primary ingredient and the trusses are the primary use for lumber.
exactly. So Pulte is trading down about 1.25% this morning.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And then AT&T. So AT&T, they matched their estimates. They came in at 76 cents a share like they were supposed to. Revenue, though, was above the forecast. They said that they've seen some bright points in terms of subscriber numbers for their HBO and HBO Max. And so that's been some good stuff for AT&T. They're actually trading up today, almost 5%, not quite 4.8, but I thought that was a good omen there. So
Holy crud. But
yeah.
while we're blowing sunshine at everybody, we got to throw out that cautionary tale that even when you beat, you sometimes lose. And I think Chipotle might be the one that we want to mention on that front, right?
That's true. Chipotle, they beat by about 30 cents a share on earnings. Revenue was a little bit above what they expected, and their same restaurant sales rose better than the 8.3% expected. And to cap it all off, their digital sales tripled from a year ago. So you would think, I think, it should be moving up big time, but
Hmm.
it's actually down 5% this morning.
They're actually the leader on my big loser list this morning, which made me ask the question, what the heck happened to them? And nobody knows, it looks like.
Yeah, I see nothing on my little tip sheet that has any indication that there's something going on there. But obviously traders are moving out of there this morning. And if we got time, I got one more for you, Dave. I got Southwest Airlines.
Bigot.
They did lose $1.99 for the earnings per share, but that was smaller than the $2.35 they were expected to lose. Revenue was slightly ahead of estimates. I found this interesting. They anticipate the next few months they will be burning less cash because they are seeing some recovery in their ticket sales, and they're trading up 1.1% this morning.
Cool sidebar thing that I saw at one point or another. Somebody had put in one of the tip sheets that I read that actually, in truth, with all of the ventilation improvements they put into the airlines and blowing the wind through those planes and everything, that as long as you keep a mask on, it's among the safer places to be in a COVID-19 situation, which is kind of counterintuitive, but it's good news for airlines like Southwest that are really got to build their people back up again.
Yeah, they really do. So, so that's what I've got for you today as we head into to the markets, and the futures is where we are. I have seen a little bit of improvement since you and I have been talking, but we are still in the red. We've got the S&P 500 down about 0.2. We've got the Dow 30 down almost 0.2, and we've got everybody's in the same ballpark. And then we got the NASDAQ down about 0.2. So everything's looking a little bit tinged to the red. The commodities aren't much better. We've got silver taking a beating again this morning, down 1.6%, and gold down 1%. Crude oil, though, is basically even. It's it's even right now at $40 a barrel.
That's up from last night by a tinge, but actually I think it's down a bit from yesterday.
Yeah, it is. It's down I don't know, 70, 80 cents from where it was yesterday.
I thought we were over 41 yesterday when we spoke. Overseas markets, Asia was mixed. They didn't know what to think about our futures drop as well. 6 this morning, they were kind of one side or the other of the line. Over in Europe, they're down about the same percentage as we are. Both Great Britain and Germany are down by 0.1%, and that's about it. Phillip, everybody needs to know how to preserve a retirement fund, and that's especially true when we look at stocks and say, why are they trading down? Volatility is something you can't control. Risk you can. How do I find you to control that?
You're absolutely right, Dave. That is the only thing we can control is the amount of risk in your portfolio. And from what I've seen when I sit down with folks is that generally they have more risk in their portfolio than they know they have. And so that's why I developed the financial x-ray. Give me a call and let's schedule your financial x-ray, 863-382-0037. Or you can go to my website, statlerfinancial.com, where you can click on the link and schedule a time convenient for you for us to talk. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk 730.
Where we stream online as well as newstalk730am.com. Phillip, thank you much, and we'll catch you in the morning, all right?
All right, man, you have a great day.
You too. Be well, my friend. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.